Hi, my name is Mark Ilagan. I'm here with Dr. Rob Brandis. I'm going to go ahead and open up a CBCT case and do a quick review. I'll ask Dr. Brandis a few questions along the way. Just a quick introduction, Dr. Rob Brandis. He is a UOP graduate. He's been practicing for over 30 years. He's a periodontist and has done thousands, tens of thousands of implants. And he has been kind enough to just join me on this quick video and go over a case. You want to say anything else, Dr. Brandis? Introduce yourself in any way?
No, let's go.
All right. So Dr. Brandis has not seen this case or this software, so I'm going to just pop it open and see where it goes. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Here we go. And here is our software, Dr. Brandis. You can see it's just laid out fairly simply. I'm going to go ahead and open up our software right here. So once we open up software, we have the menu on the left side of all the scans taken under this patient. We just click on one of them, and I'm going to minimize this window on the left so we could see the full screen. So after an image is taken in our software, the panoramic image is already optimized for you. We call that clear pan. Also, the nerve is already mapped out automatically. So for this, if you saw this first after an image is taken, what steps would you take to just look around? What would be your starting point?
Well, first of all, to have the panoramic view optimized with the focal trough and everything is really convenient. That can take a little bit of time. It's nice to have the nerve mark too, because in some software you have to do that on your own. So it really is ready to go right off the bat. So the first thing that I do is I try and have a systematic way of reviewing an image or a series of images. So I first will get an overview of the pan, and I'll look around the pan just for anything that I'm looking at.
Okay.
Oftentimes, of course, a patient has a chief complaint or a particular area that they want us to look at, and so I like to at least get to that early on in the examination rather than going into all the other things that I can see and find. And certainly, just the first overview on this image, there's lots to look at. So I just do an inspection of by quadrant. I'll look at the upper right quadrant first.
Okay.
And I'll look at what's going on there. When I get to that area, I will focus the image into that area and then scan through the volume in that area, one or two teeth at a time, going from, in this case, from the tooth number 3 or the upper right area,
okay,
around to the upper left. So
what slice do you like to look at that?
I like to look at things in the tangential view first, and of course that's the kind of the buccal lingual view.
Okay, so there's
image.
You're familiar with this, the MPR
Right.
layout. So this axial, coronal, sagittal view.
Right.
So if you're doing upper right, so would you go all the way up here right away and just look at that one section, or tell me where you'd go?
I'd like to look at it in the sagittal view first and look at it from a buccal lingual standpoint. So yeah, down there, and so that I can scan through the volume that way, more in a traditional dental way. So I'm going to just look at it in a buccal lingual way as I look around. Okay, so I'm going to go from the upper right, and I'm going to keep advancing forward and move through each area. Obviously, in this situation, we see some problems with the first molar there, tooth number 3, and I'll just make a mental note of that.
Okay.
And then I will go through the image. Of course, I'll look at each tooth, and I like to take that all the way around first, from the upper right to the upper left.
Okay, so there's a couple ways you could do that, right? We could do it here. We could do it in this view and just go left to right by just dragging this line or the cross-section window there. So I'm just going to go here using this cross-section window, is that where you'd look if I just drag this around?
Yeah, I think the cross sectional is a good way to do it. You can do it with the cross sectional view, or you can do it, with that sagittal view. Either way, right? And you can see exactly where you're navigating in the lower right, so you can
Okay.
tell where you are in each tooth, because it is easy to get lost with images sometimes in Conebeam. So you always want to look at a reference point. So I would be
So
looking through each one of those images.
you're looking at this right here as I go through the scan.
Right, that's showing me exactly where your cross sectional view in the middle window on the bottom is showing me exactly where I'm inspecting. Right.
Okay. All right. So next, where would you look?
After I do that, I would do the same thing on the lower arch.
On the lower arch. So you'd go
Yes,
down here.
I'd go down. Yeah, I get down to the middle of the lower arch, and I would look through the same thing, going from right to left. The important thing really is that you just have a systematic way of viewing this. You can obviously see we went past a root tip there,
Yeah.
and an
Back here.
extraction site. Yeah, and obviously we're not making really each one of these notations, and but yeah, we're looking at the surrounding bone around each tooth. We're looking at any kind of pathology.
Okay.
And then after that, that's going to give me a good idea of where the problems are and what's happening as I look through that.
Okay.
Remember, all we're doing is just moving that mouse up and down the same direction is in that arrow, and just like we have that too, when we get the arrows, and it shows us which way we're moving. So and then I would do the same kind of thing in the coronal view. Just looking at any kind of looking for any kind of lesions. Again, the coronal view, which is going to go, from the top of the crown down towards the apexes, going to show us what's happening.
So you're looking at this view right here.
Yeah, I'm looking at the axial view, right?
Axial view up on top here. Okay.
Yeah.
So would you start top down or bottom up?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I think that you need to go through kind of top down and then bottom up either way, just so you can get a look at it. Obviously, you're getting a look at the sinuses there, and now we're getting into the root tips, and now more into the tooth proper, the crowns, and now we're headed down to the bottom teeth. And there again, I'm just looking for any kind of pathology, any periapical radiolucencies or other types of problems there.
Okay.
If I'm looking at an implant site, of course, I can be looking at the in this view, the width of the bone,
Okay.
which I can get there, and I'm assuming that I can have the ability to measure that too.
Yeah.
Let's say that I wanted to measure that one spot right there, I could click on it and get a real measurement. It's nice to remember that with Conebeam, there's no distortion. If we make images bigger or smaller, it's still a 1-to-1 ratio, so that we can get a very accurate measurement of what the width of a ridge is here.
Okay.
And then, of course, in other views, we can get a measure of what the height is too. And so we can make these images smaller or larger if we want to view them better. And that gives us the opportunity to get accurate measurements and to do ideal implant planning.
Okay.
Of course, you're measuring the distance to the nerve, so we can get an idea of how much bone availability there is to stay, well away from the inferior alveolar nerve.
Okay. Okay, that's a great start.